Hi folks, this is Vicki at patternprincess.com. Today I want to show you how to do the stitches for this really beautiful, thick, chunky blanket. As you can see, there's little ridges. Hopefully you can see it here. There's little ridges, the effect that I've created here, and just small little ridges. I started off on this end and I worked in the back bump, just did a slip stitch. These are all slip stitches, but they're worked in the back loop. So which makes this pattern really easy. This is the back side. This is the front side, but just look at all this chunkiness. Here, I'm going to fold it like this so you can maybe see it. So this is the first color. I've worked 9 rows of this first color. And I'm using Bernat Blanket Yarn Big. This is a 30mm hook, nice big hook. And I'm just going to show you the pattern here quick. This is the yarn I'm going to be switching to. I thought on this particular pattern, every 9 rows I would switch yarn color. So the first thing we're going to do is get our slip knot going. So we'll get that on our hook. And you can start with any number of stitches that you wish. Doesn't matter since we're just doing, put it like this, doing the slip stitches. So we're going to work our chains, yarn over and bring your hook through. There's 1. I don't know, we'll do like 6, just so you can kind of get the hang of it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So let me just talk to you a moment about I do have another video that I'm going to attach to the free pattern when I have it up on the website. By the time you watch this, it should be up on the website. So when you're looking at the first chain stitch of rows, normally you would work into this top loop. When you do that, you'll sometimes have a gap. There's another option. You have the top loop, bottom loop. There's a back bump. You see this back bump? Okay, and this back bump would be right here. It's tucked in here for this last one. We're going to work there because when you work into that, you see how this front part squishes up? And that almost gives me like another ridge looking. It really just makes that front part pop and look nice. So we're going to skip this first stitch here. We don't count the loop on our hook. We're going to skip that first chain. And so I like to turn my work over so I can see what I'm doing, especially with this chunky yarn. You got to kind of look and make sure you feel. So this is that back loop of the first one. So I'm just going to insert the hook. And you don't want really snug, tight stitches because you won't be able to get your hook into the next row. So you just bring yarn. I just put my hook through, yarned over, brought it through, and now I just bring the yarn over the loop over this. So I'm going to do the next one. Insert my hook into that back bump. There it is, sticking up for me. And then yarn over, bring it through. And then a lot of times I like to push it up into this thicker part, not leave it down here because it just makes the loops all the same size and gives you a nice uniform look. And now I'm just going to pull the yarn over. And there we go, 2. And then we got our next back bump. See, we got to lay those first bumps down. We have our next back bump right here. Insert your hook. Yarn over, bring it through, pull them up, and slip 1 loop over the next. And then we have the next one right here. I almost grabbed this one, but I had to look at the top and bottom loop myself. I almost pulled up the wrong one. So I just want to show you that even though I can get messed up here, I just got to really look. Pull them up, pull 1 loop over the other. I find having my left hand help pull that loop over helps. Or if I flip this video, it's going to be a right hand if I'm showing it the left hand. Here's that very last little bump right here in the last loop. This is a little bit snug. We're going to push her through anyway. There we go. All right. There we go. Made it through. Oops, I almost yarned over. There we go. Now, doesn't this look nice? And this is after, what did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. what we have. Did we start with 6? I can't even remember. But doesn't it look nice? Now I have a really nice, I'm going to turn it. I have a really nice base to work with. That's what I did on the other blanket there. I didn't use that yarn to show you because I thought it would be too dark. It might be kind of hard. So we're going to chain 1. That does not count as a stitch. Because it doesn't count in the stitch, you're going to work right in this very first loop. Here's your chain stitch you just did. You're going to work in the back loop, not the front. There's a front loop and a back loop. Okay, we're going to work only in the back loop all the way through. This row I'm doing now is your repeating row of the entire blanket. So you insert your hook, yarn over, bring it through. I like to pull them up on the wooden part, the thicker round part. Bring my loop over, put it in the next back loop. It just becomes very easy once you get the first row done there. Working in the back bumps can be kind of challenging with a thicker yarn because it's hard to see. But now this goes really quick. And it creates a really, if you're looking for a really nice thick blanket, this is it. I'm actually thinking about using it as a mat for my grandson. It's like a floor mat to watch TV. Okay, and then we got that one done. So you see this ridge right here from the very first row starting to pop out. And then all I'd have to do is turn, chain 1, and work right back into the first stitch. But I'm doing the back loop. Okay, so do we have this part down? A slip stitch into the back loop. Simple as that. And then you can certainly change, you can do this in a solid color, and you can change color whenever you want. Like I said, for the one, I'm making a very large one. For the one I'm doing, I'm changing it every 9 rows. And I'm just going to do one more. But then I'm going to show you how I'm going to change color. And I used to tie the yarn, but I have found that I like to burn the yarn. Even though it's a little bit dangerous, you got to be careful. So here's my ridge starting on this side. And if I turn it over, I have a ridge here now and a ridge here. Beginning. And now I know that I'm in my last loop. Something as I just thought of just now to show you. I know that I'm in that last loop right here. But it looks like, if you're looking at it, it looks uneven. Okay, this side's even. When you start your next row off, I'm going to turn it because you're going to do your chain 1, which doesn't count. And then you're going to work into the back loop of that first stitch. When you do that, I'll go one more stitch because I want to show you when you do that. So don't be pulling it out thinking you're wrong. If you're brand new to crochet, make sure that you count your stitches. But because I had that one stitch, I'm going to turn it back over. See how it's even now? So because I had that one chain I did, and then it kind of folded over on itself right here, that gives you that outward loop. It kind of pushes out. And so it makes it even now with the rest of it. You are going to have a little bit of a gap here looking, but this is just how, it just gives character to your crochet pattern. Here's how this looks on the edges of mine. Okay, so just so you see this, and you're not alarmed thinking, oops, I'm off. You're better off counting your stitches rather than ripping it out a million times. Okay, so now I want to show you how to change yarn color. We'll do that next. Okay, so I'm at my 9th row here. I haven't weaved in this one. When I do, I'll just weave it. I'll probably weave it this way. And then I'm just going to burn the end and stick it right into one of the yarn spaces. I'll just weave a little bit here, get it lit and push it in. But I have found that I do like to burn the ends of it to get it to adhere to the next skein. That seems to work the best. If I tie it, it sticks out here and there on this particular yarn, and it creates a bulky spot. So I've learned that I really do like to burn it. So I had my last loop here, right here. And I would normally just pull this through, right? Okay. But instead, I want to pull this loop through. I want to pull the new loop through. So what we're going to have to do is join our yarn before we pull it through. Okay, so, and when you pull it through to create your new loop. Another way you could do it is if you didn't want to measure your yarn, because what we're going to do is measure our yarn. If you didn't want to measure it, you could absolutely pull it through like this. Pull this snug, real snug here, right, like this, and then your yarn is ready to use. But you'd still have to burn these ends in. Like you'd have to weave this in a little bit and burn it, and then weave this and burn it. Okay? So you could absolutely change your yarn like that. That would work if you're not wanting to measure. But what you're going to have to do is, because this loop here is the one, got to get my end of it here. This loop here is the one that we want to bring through. So let's get back to where we were. We were here. Okay. So we're going to insert our hook. And then here is where we would bring our yarn through. So right about here is where we want to change our yarn. But you gotta, it'll burn just a little bit before you get them joined. So it's about a 1/2 inch. So what I like to do then is I'm probably gonna snip her right about here. Okay, oops. And then we're gonna, this is the yarn we're gonna join. Let's see if I can not burn my fingers. Come on. Okay, that was going, it took a little second for it to get moving. And I just hold it together a minute before I put my fingers on it. I let the yarn adhere, and then I'll kind of roll it just a little bit. And that's adhered. So now what I'm going to do is bring my yarn through, and now I have my working yarn ready to go. And now I'm going to turn this. And my blanket is getting big and it's hard to turn it in my little workspace here. But now I'm going to go ahead and chain 1, and then I'm going to do my slip stitch right here, and we have just chained our yarn. And now I have my new yarn joined, and I'm just continuing on with that same pattern. This is how it looks on the other side, because I'm joining the new yarn, so it creates another look here. This is how it looks on the back side. So I hope that you enjoy this pattern. It'll be, again, on the website, and have fun crocheting.